Hey everybody, welcome to a more formal presentation this week. See if I can share my screen here and we'll get going. But having some issues with one of these slides, so this is like my, oh, there you go. Multiple attempts here at this, so hopefully it works a little better this time for us. So, the $1,000,000 question, what is geography? In case you forgot, my name's Brad. So before we do anything, let's do a quick check-in with our bodies and take care of any needs that we might have, okay? So you go ahead and pause it if you need to take care of it. My body's asking me to stretch a little bit. Take a deep breath. Okay. So what comes to mind when you hear geography? Just that word, what pops into your mind? Try it again. Geography. One more time. Geography. Did a country or maybe an image of a flag come to mind? Or perhaps a physical process like water rushing downstream? Maybe an image of a map with a bunch of labels and boundaries popped into your head. Or maybe an idea like international trade. All of these and much more, whatever popped into your head, is certainly part of geography. But what I want us to explore not just in this presentation, but all semester long, is how geography is much more than these things that are a part of it. Geography is a synthesis of different layers of information about spaces and places. This all online course is an opportunity for us to study and learn geography outside the confines of the traditional classroom.
What does a wall do on a college campus? Well, for that matter, what do the buildings do on a college campus? What is the actual aim of education today? Passive acceptance is actually more desirable rather than active criticism. The students taught that discovering knowledge is beyond the power of the student and is, in any case, none of their business. Recall is actually the highest form of intellectual achievement. And the collection of unrelated facts is the goal of education. And classes have become a sort of vaccination, where English is not history, and history is not science, and science is not art, and art is not music, and art and music are minor subjects, and English, history, and science are major subjects. And the subject is something you take. And when you've taken it, you've had it. And if you've had it, then you're immune to it, and you don't need to take it again. Students are also told that the voice of authority is to be trusted and valued more than independent judgment. We're taught that one's own ideas and those of one's classmates are inconsequential. So what students mostly do in class is guess what the teacher wants them to say. We're told there's always a single, unambiguous right answer to a question. The tests are black and white. So is the structure. The structure is based on the idea that objects of knowledge reside out there somewhere, while the experts, the teachers, are people who are trained to know these objects in their pristine form. And the amateurs, the students, are people without training and full of bias. Students will spend a 15-week semester, and what do they actually produce in the semester? Normally their products are stored in the circulated file. This is just the classroom. What about the buildings that house these buildings? because the buildings actually separate subjects of thought. If the buildings separate ideas, then do we separate these ideas in our minds? As a student, you feel yourself asking, what classroom am I walking into now? What department is this? You even go as far as to ask what questions are logical within the building. You actually are compartmentalizing your thought. You're thinking within the walls. These walls provide rigid structures, and the importance lies within the connections between departments. Creative thought is not held within one portion of the brain. It's within the connections. Connections between cells, neurons, connections between people, between departments, between ideas.
So last week, I told you that geography is a way to help us understand the world better, okay? And geography does this by not by simplifying the world, but by teaching us to perceive the relationships that exist and to perceive and interpret the patterns that exist within these relationships. And we can observe these relationships and these patterns in our everyday observations. And we're going to get better the more we practice observing the world. Doing this helps us orient ourselves to the relationships and the connections on this amazing place called Earth. And one of the things that we're going to do, one of the activities, is going to be reading in our textbook. So go ahead and open up your e-textbook. And just like earlier, I'm going to be moving through this, and at any time, obviously, you can pause this video if you need to take more time to find the textbook or to do what we're going to do here inside the textbook. Okay. You can review the course tutorial video from last week if you don't know how to open up the e-textbook. I demonstrated there. You can also just open up our Canvas website and click on modules, and I'm sure you can find it by searching around in there. It's labeled very clearly. Once you have your e-textbook open, go ahead and open up to the table of contents. And what I want you to do is to identify what 4 overarching themes each chapter in the textbook has in it. We're not going to be reading every single chapter, but we don't have time in our semester. But I do want you to understand how all of this information that geography covers is organized by the textbook, okay? If for some reason looking at the table of contents and seeing which, overarching themes are in each chapter isn't working for you, you can also, actively turn into the textbook itself, and look at these different regions of the world and how, these different themes, these different titles, subsections are in each one, okay? And after you've done that, you might be wondering, like, is it possible to remember so much information? And I think you might be thinking of that when you think of learning as only the act of memorizing, which is not what we're going to do in this course, okay? Memorization has a place, but it's a very small component of the larger goal of learning. And so, believe it or not, your brain is actually really well adept at understanding all of that information that the textbook goes over in each chapter. Excuse me. And your brain uses something that you might not even recognize as a valuable skill, but it is the skill of creating or understanding stories. So geography can be thought of as not just one story, but a collection of stories, okay? Looking at this diagram, you can take a place. In this case, the diagram says Southeast Ohio. but that could very easily be southern New Mexico, or anywhere else. And you'll see how these different components are all an integrated whole of Southeast Ohio. Okay, these different layers of information, and those economics, political science, physics, etc. I mean, even the ones that the diagram shows are certainly not all inclusive. I mean, the information that's embedded within Southeast Ohio or Southern New Mexico or anywhere else is really infinite. And so that's why we're going to create stories, because the politics of a place are going to affect, the economics, right? Any kind of legislation that is passed is going to affect what the economy is going to become, and how that economy unfolds is also going to affect the politics, right? Like if the economy is generally going well, people tend to keep the status quo, but if the economy gets bad, it tends to change the politics, right? And these things are also affecting, right, the social structure of the culture, right? And vice versa. And so all of these things are interacting with each other, right? And they're affecting and affecting each other. And so you think about how well you can describe like a movie or your favorite, like fictional story. That's what we're going to do with geography. We're just going to do it in a very specific way. Okay. And one of those ways we've covered with the themes that the textbook showed us. And we're also going to focus in on 3 specific geographic skills. One of them being the skill of location. Okay. Being able to not just locate where someone is, but also being able to express that so that, if someone's reading something you're writing or any kind of project you're sharing, that they also can understand what location you're talking about. We're going to keep an observation journal and get a lot of practice with observing the world around us and expanding our understanding of how all of our observations are interconnected. We're also going to deal with scale a lot, right? Thinking of how we can zoom in and out and how different perspectives give us new and different kinds of knowledge, and that those different kinds of knowledge are interrelated as we zoom in and out of a particular place and or subject. All this seems overwhelming. All we're really trying to do with geography, we're trying to come back to 3 main questions, okay? So if the themes and the skills just become kind of overwhelming for you and you're doing some kind of course activity, like answering a discussion prompt or making an observation outside or writing a paragraph for a longer assignment, and you're kind of lost, I'm like, how can I make this geographic? If those other things just complicate it more for you, come back to these 3 questions and answer them, or be aware of how you're learning to go deeper with the answers to these questions. And that is, who is where, why are they there, and why should we care? You do that and you're doing geography. So coming full circle, what is geography? What is geography to you? I want you to make a connection, a personal connection of why this subject matter is important for your learning. Because it's there. The possibility, the potential for this course to be important to you is there. And I'm happy to help you discover what that is. But I want you to own that ultimately it's your responsibility to find that out. And that will make this course very powerful for you. I hope you realize that geography is more than you expected it to be, and that continues as the course progresses. Geography is certainly your story, but it goes beyond your story. It's a synthesized story of place that answers who is where, why are they there, and why should we care? Right? Your story is part of a larger story. Your actions, your thoughts, your dreams, your passions, your family, and your community are all part of that larger story. Your story is an Earth story, and it's a good one. thanks for taking part in the presentation today. I hope it has answered some of the questions you have on what geography is. And I also hope that it has spurred some curiosity and left you also questioning maybe how geography can be important for you. I'll see you around.